Hi, everybody. This is Dan Stolbarger. Welcome to this week's Middle East Update. It is June 26, and we're going to look back on the events that have transpired this week. Remember, you want to grab the PDF PowerPoint, which should just be a link on your YouTube page. We always sort of begin with our news bites, but we're reminded because it is... hopefully, prayerfully, we've seen this 12-day war come to an end, and just a reminder of God's faithfulness. And again, I always open with this slide of Bibi Netanyahu at the Western Wall with the passage from Numbers 23. Look, a people rises like a lioness, lifts itself up like a lion, it shall not lay down until it devours its prey. And kudos and credit, of course, to the IDF. But the bottom line is that the trust in chariots and planes and bombers or whatever is nothing in comparison to the faithfulness of God. And so we give thanks, and we continue to pray that this 12-day war would end. But we continue to pray that the Gaza war ends and that the hostages will be released. So let's take a look at our news bites. Of course, when we come to the end of a war like this, there's going to be two sides to every story because nobody's going to want to admit to any sort of defeat. So here's the bottom line. The end of the war between Israel and Iran has given a new hope to, in a sense, the second ceasefire in Gaza. Just read this today. During the NATO summit that Trump was at, he basically said, I think we're going to have some very good news soon regarding Gaza. So once again, we're praying for that to be true, and we're praying for the hostages to be released. And then even though Trump has declared the end of the 12-day war, the question still looms, was this just the countdown to Ezekiel chapter 38? And I'm not going to go into detail. I'm going to encourage you to read Ezekiel 38 and 39 and understand that this prophecy, futuristic sort of prophecy, all the players are in place. Had Iran be totally eliminated, it would have impacted, I think, that prophecy. But this deep-seated hatred, there's a sense that Iran is just seething at this point in time, probably just waiting for their next opportunity. So I got a feeling God is in control. The end of days chessboard that's set up, believe me, he's not caught off guard. He knows every move that's going to take place. Okay, the Home Front Command in Israel has now removed all restrictions as far as Ben Gurion Airport goes. And so we're reading today, flights are resuming. There's some carriers that are not coming in yet, but Ben Gurion is literally open at this time. And again, as we've talked about, nobody's going to want to claim anything other than ultimate victory. So the Ayatollah has come out, not out of his bunker yet, released a video that basically claims victory over the United States and victory over Israel. It was a pre-recorded message that was released while he was in hiding. And he does downplay any sort of damage to the nuclear sites. But the reality, and we'll get into this in our articles, is that it's been, in a sense, whether it's through Israel or whether it's through outside mediations or whatever, the truth is that the program, Four-Door, and the nuclear sites have been dramatically impacted. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, we're seeing, and so since it's Trump, we get this major announcement that there's big news coming. and that's in regards to the Abrahamic Accords. We'll have to wait and see what that is. We don't know at this time, but big news coming. All right, our articles for this week, again, Trump regarding the ceasefire. Initially, he was, this is his legacy. I mean, he wants to be a president of peace. And when they brokered this ceasefire, we know that both Iran and Israel went up to the last second, dropping bombs at one another. And so Trump came out and blamed both sides. I know he dropped an F-bomb or whatever, but the bottom line is that he is trying to mediate. And actually, one of his quotes was, "Israel has to calm down. I have to get to Israel as soon as possible to calm things down. I'm going to see if I can stop it." So far, so good. It seems like the ceasefire is holding. And then we have, which essentially is just a rematch coming up. Iran versus Israel. Israel ended its military campaign against Iran with an upper hand. There's no doubt about that. Officials noted yesterday that all of their objectives had been fully achieved, though it seems kind of that perspective, and it probably needs a measure of humility in order to maintain the status quo and the peace that's going on at this time. But keep this in mind: Iran will not abandon its goal. It may adopt a new tactic and deepen efforts of concealment and deception, but its ultimate aim remains unchanged. Remember, they make no bones about it. Death to America, death to Israel. It's all about the complete annihilation of Israel. And so whatever rhetoric and other things you may hear, keep in mind this is the heart of the matter. And then, as I mentioned, is this the beginning? Is this setting the stage for Ezekiel 38? Another one of the articles that I read basically said Iran, Israel's most dangerous enemy, remains today alive, capable, and angry. It was wounded but not killed. Israel, in a sense, shot Iran in the leg, not the brain. The Islamic Republic will recover, they will rebuild, and they are rethinking their next steps. I know there's been some talk about regime change, and there is the thought that the war won't truly be over until Israel can declare victory through some kind of regime change, but Israel is maintaining they can't do it. In order for it to be authentic and real, the Iranian people have to rise up and do this on their own. Again, I mentioned make sure you grab that PDF PowerPoint because I don't have enough time in this video to cover everything. And then the question, and it's the age in which we're living, obviously, is deception, deceit, lies, misinformation, disinformation, etc. Who do we believe? And so that's the bottom line when it comes to all of this. Who do we believe? Do we believe Trump? Do we believe CNN? Do we believe the Ayatollahs? Do we believe Bibi Netanyahu? Who do we believe? And again, all of these articles come out of Israel. So here's a comment that says, who do we believe, and how, at least publicly, have they all come to such different assessments? While uncertainty abounds as to the true level of damage, that's to these nuclear sites, Trump has already threatened, this is important because regardless of the total destruction of those sites, Trump has gone on record to basically say that if Iran begins to rebuild its nuclear program, he goes on to make it clear that he will once again bomb the nuclear sites. It will be, we've already seen the elimination of their scientists, and once again, the threats of Trump to basically dismantle and take away any threat of Iran having a nuclear weapon. Now, as we look at the difference between the Western mindset and the Eastern mindset, let me just say this. Iran will be patient. It's not a matter of today or tomorrow. They will be patient, and at least in this article that I read, it said Tehran's nuclear program may be put on hold, but when Trump leaves the White House, that's probably when it's going to ratchet up once again. So, again, who do we believe? Our friend Michael Utterback from MTI just posted this. He said, I am tremendously thankful for President Trump that he's gone to great lengths to not only stand with Israel, but even to go to war on its behalf. And now, again from Michael, however, the statement from Trump that Iran and Israel can now live in peace and love is at best naive and reveals the lack of understanding of the long-range goals of Islam. Keep in mind, the basic drive of Islam is to bring the world under subjection to Allah. And even as we look around in our backyard, we look at what took place in New York with this Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani. He's a devout Muslim who is openly anti-Israel. If this man actually becomes the mayor of New York, indeed, Jews in New York, it's the largest population of Jews outside of Tel Aviv, should be extremely concerned, once again, in our own backyard. And again, there's a meme here of the Statue of Liberty, Lady Liberty, dressed in Muslim attire, and the article's title is Soon. And so we know that this Mamdani stunned the New York City primaries. He's poised to become the next mayor. It's not certain yet, but it's just frightening to see, because this guy is a Muslim American who initially supported the phrase globalize the Intifada slogan. That's in our own backyard. Okay, the modern face of anti-Semitism. I'll end with this. My time's going to be up. This comes from our friends in Israel, the International Christian Alliance for Israel. And they write, this is the modern face of anti-Semitism today. And I think this needs to be heard. While the church has made great progress, anti-Semitism is resurging, this time and in more subtle forms. Though, political anti-Semitism often is called anti-Zionism, and it targets the collective identity of the Jewish people through the state of Israel. But though not all criticism of Israeli policy is anti-Semitic, the line is crossed when such criticism denies Israel's right to exist, uses anti-Semitic rhetoric, or applies double standards not expected of other nations. The demonization of the Jewish state inevitably leads to attacks on Jews around the world. When Israeli military actions prompt assaults on Jewish individuals in other countries, the connection is clear. This is not a political disagreement. It is anti-Semitism, and the church has to take a stand. And so there's a call to stand. The battle against anti-Semitism is not only for the sake of the Jewish people, it's for the health and the future of the church. We must educate our congregations to rightly discern the word of God, to defend truth, and to boldly stand with the people of Israel. And in doing so, we align ourselves with God's purposes, his plans, his promises, his covenants, both past and present. Once again, let that soak in. As I mentioned, my time's up. There's still a couple other articles that you want to make sure you grab. Just a reminder to keep our ministry, Holy Ground Expeditions, in your prayers. We are hosting Amir Tsarfati Tuesday and Wednesday, July 1st and 2nd up here. We're completely sold out, and we just ask that you pray that people's hearts would be open, minds open to hear. It's going to be an evening of biblical prophecy. Pray for security and peace of everything that transpires and goes on. May God's will be done. And then we are heading to Israel. In the fall, it will be our last official Holy Ground tour. We have about 4 to 5 seats left. October 30th through November 9th, we call this tour The Land, the People, and the King. All the information is on our website at holygroundexplorations.com. That's it for this week. God bless you, and shalom.